going on? Today I'm going to be upgrading my 2012 MacBook Pro. I just wanted to do a quick video on it. I am not a professional by any means. This is a learning process for myself as well. So the intention of this video is to kind of give you a little bit of push, maybe a little bit of insight to help you out, as well as vice versa. If you could give me some feedback, maybe some tips for future upgrades, that would be helpful. With that being said, process this at your own risk. This is just for, like I said, for educational purposes. So if you're going to use this to upgrade your MacBook, upgrade at your own risk, and hopefully this video helps. Really quick, what I'm running is a mid-2012 13-inch MacBook Pro, 2.5 gigahertz Intel Core i5 processor, 4 gigabytes of memory, HD graphics 4000, 1024 megabytes. My computer is a little bit older. It's 2020 while I'm filming this. And for the sake of saving a little bit of money, I figured instead of buying a brand new MacBook Pro, I could easily upgrade my MacBook Pro, make it a little bit faster at a fraction of the cost. So let's get right into it. As far as supplies or materials go, besides the obvious MacBook Pro that you're going to need, is an external hard drive. I'm using my Passport Edge, and I'm going to be backing up my current hard drive in my MacBook to this external hard drive, 500 gigabytes. And you can also use what's called the SATA cable to back up your new hard drive, but this is the way I'm going to be doing it. Over here we have the 500 gigabyte SSD drive by Samsung, the 860 EVO. Moving on to 8 gigs of RAM, totaling 16 gigs of RAM. And over here we have the screwdriver set. This one I got off of Amazon. It says screwdrivers for Macs. Any screwdriver will work. I believe you're going to be using the Phillips and the T6 screwdriver. So let's get right into it. Also, I'll be posting links down below for all of these supplies. So again, let's get back into it. Alright guys, so as I mentioned, the first thing that I'm going to do is back up my hard drive on my computer to my external hard drive via Time Machine. So I am in the process of getting that ready. And like I mentioned, there is a way to, if you don't have an external hard drive, you can clone your current hard drive into your new hard drive, I believe using a SATA cable. I'm personally honestly not too familiar with this process. This is maybe a conversation for another day, but this is the way I'm going about doing this, just because I already had an external hard drive and Time Machine, so everything was just trying to keep it simple. And at the end, you potentially could save a little bit of money not getting an external hard drive if you don't need it. But as soon as this is complete, we'll shut down the MacBook and get to the fun stuff. Alright guys, so I'm going to start off with the screwdrivers. For this particular project, I'm going to be using the T6 screwdriver and also the Phillips 0 screwdriver. I've also heard this screwdriver referred to 000 and even 00, so I'm honestly not too sure about that one, but this one happened to work. I went ahead and removed all of the screws. Let me go ahead and focus here. So as you can see, the top three are a little bit longer than the rest of them, so you want to keep those separated. I just left the screws where they were as I took them out, so let's go ahead and remove the cap and then see what's on the inside. Alright guys, so I went ahead and removed the back cover of the MacBook Pro, and it's a 2012 MacBook Pro. I haven't cleaned it since, so it was very dusty. I did my best to remove some of the dust, but that might not be surprising if you never get into your computer. So I'm going to do a separate cleaning for that a little bit later when I have some computer duster. But the things that we're going to be working with today are going to be the hard drive. We'll be replacing that using the T6 screwdriver, the RAM, which I don't think a screwdriver is necessary for that, and it should be a fairly simple process. So let's dive into it. So the first thing you're going to want to do is remove the power supply That's right here. So I'm going to get my tool here. This came with the screwdrivers in the order. So go ahead and carefully remove that, and then we'll move on to the removing the RAM. Alright guys, so I went ahead and removed the battery supply, and I removed the RAM as well, so you're left with this gap here. I apologize for not showing the process, as it's a little difficult to do this with one hand while recording, so just to get a little bit more focus. Maybe down the line when I get a camera stand or phone stand, I'll be able to do the process, but for now, please bear with me. There's the old RAM, the stock RAM that it came with, totaling 4 gigabytes, and I'm upgrading to 16 gigabytes here, 2 8 gig sticks, and I did go with the Samsung brand, so I'll go ahead and post a link down below. And I'm going to go ahead and insert these into that position, and you're going to want to put them in at an angle, push them all the way down until they lock. So let's go ahead and get that going. That was a fairly easy process to install the RAM. What you're going to want to do is input the RAM at an angle. Once that you feel it connect pretty snug, you're going to want to push the RAM down, and it should click into place, and you're going to want to do that with the first RAM as well as the second RAM. So it is a fairly easy process. I would even say that the removal is a little bit trickier, but both easy process nonetheless. So we're going to move over here, and we're going to get going with the hard drive. And what you're going to want to do first is remove these 2 screws using the same Phillips 0 screwdriver that you removed the back of the computer with. So let's go ahead and get that going. So again, fairly easy process. Once you get the hard drive out of the space that it goes in, you're left with this open space here to where the new hard drive would go into. So again, you're going to want to remove these 2 screws using the same Phillips 0 screwdriver, and you remove that. Once you remove that, you're going to want to gently pick up the hard drive with this sticker right here. You get a grip on it and you remove the SATA cable. You're going to want to do this pretty gently. Be careful with this section because it is pretty sensitive material here, so you don't want to destroy anything. And so let's go ahead and pop the SSD hard drive by Samsung, and there it is compared to the stock hard drive. And one thing I did notice is the SSD is so much lighter than this bulky stock hard drive that it comes with. So let's go ahead and install that. So I successfully installed the hard drive. So I forgot to mention earlier that this hard drive comes with 4 screws. You're going to want to remove those screws with a T6 screwdriver and screw them onto the hard drive that you're going to be installing. That way it fits into the hard drive placeholder for it pretty snug. And a lot of people like to remove this tab from the old hard drive onto their new one for easier access. So once you get those 4 screws in, get the tab on there, connect the SATA cable, you place this into the hard drive area, and then you screw back on these 2 screws, and after that you're all set to go. One last thing to remember is to reconnect the battery cable, and then you're all set to go with installing the hard drive as well as the 16 gigabytes of RAM. You're going to want to put the back cover back onto the computer and then just get it running. Once you get the back cover back onto the computer, put the screws back in. What I did was, before turning it on, I connected my external hard drive to where my Time Machine backup is, and while I turned the power on, I held Command R, and this is the screen I get, which is a recovery startup screen. So it's taking a little bit to load. Once it loads fully, we'll go ahead and reformat the hard drive, the internal hard drive that we just installed. After that, we'll go ahead and start up the computer with the external hard drive using the Time Machine, and my computer should be exactly how I left it, with a new hard drive and 16 gigs of RAM updated to it from a previous 4 gigs of RAM. So once this loads, we'll go ahead and move on to that. Once you get past recovery mode, you're going to end up in utilities, And what you're going to want to do is reformat the internal hard drive. So you go to Disk Utility, click Continue. And as you can see up here, it has the 500 gigabyte Samsung SSD hard drive that we just recently installed. So we'll go ahead and erase that. You can rename it whatever you'd like. For now, I'm just going to leave it as is. So you want to erase that. So it's journaled. Once you're done with that, you're going to want to exit. So you can either install from Mac OS Lion, it says. I think that's from when I originally got this computer, but what I'm going to want to do is restore from Time Machine Backup. So it'll go through a process here, restore. We're going to do the Mac backup, which is the external hard drive. Continue. And the most recent backup was when I was doing this video, so I believe January 11th at 7 a.m. I'm going to go ahead and hit continue. And this is the untitled internal SSD that we want to install it into, and we're going to hit restore. And it's warning us that anything on this internal hard drive, which there's nothing on there, is going to be replaced. Yes, we want that, so we'll go ahead and hit continue. And so after this, your computer should start up with how you originally had it, same applications, same settings, same files. Everything should be pretty familiar at this point. So once this is done loading, I'm not too sure how long it's going to take, but for the sake of time, we'll get back to it once everything is all set in stone, and I can show you the final results. The whole Time Machine restoration process took about an hour to an hour and 15 minutes. In the meantime, I just lounged around with my dog Boss, grabbed some lunch, and by the time I was done with all that, it was finished downloading. So I'm going to go ahead and show you what I saw after I logged into my computer. Alright everyone, so the update was successful. As you can see, once the download from Time Machine was fully complete, I just logged in like normal. Everything has been the same. It's as if nothing has changed on my computer. And so, as you can see, I'm still running Yosemite. I realize that is a little bit behind in the macOS operating systems, but we'll worry about that a little later. So the main thing we want to focus on is the storage. And let's see if it'll pop up. It's moving a little slow there, which is weird. There it goes. And so you can see the 500 gigabyte solid state SATA drive. That's going to be the Samsung drive that we just recently installed. And as you can see, there's a total of 16 gigabytes of RAM, 8 per RAM stick. And so just to kind of show you how, as far as the speed goes, it is pretty quick. Definitely a noticeable difference from the previous 4 gigabytes of RAM. So it's absolutely a huge difference in that. So it'll be fun kind of working in different programs, various things at various times. So that was just to kind of give you an example. So at the end of it, if you're going to do this, please do it at your own risk. There is going to be risk involved with upgrades and anything like that. So just make sure you're careful. It is definitely doable. Relatively easy. This was just to kind of show you my experience. At the end of it, I got everything totaling at $150, and that was a really cheap upgrade compared to what you could pay for a brand new MacBook Pro. So that was just to kind of give everyone some insight, as well as a learning curve for myself. So thanks for watching. I appreciate it. Have a good day.